Hello and welcome to Family DynamiKs. This is Katherine.
It's Liz.
And I'm Ed.
And John.
Okay, so I was thinking it would be fun to talk about who we watch television shows with and sort of how that goes down. Because on our other podcast, What We're Watching, we often talk about part of the discussion is who we're watching it with, but that mostly we're talking about the shows that we're watching. But it's really interesting to think about what we watch and with who and what that is like. The dynamic changes depending on who it is.
Well, the culture has changed because of streaming and binging.
Oh, yeah.
And not waiting week to week. And also the idea that the television structure used to be fall lineup.
Sure.
And usually wrapping shows by spring. And there was nothing new. So you kind of had this season that you were watching. Like Lost was a great example. Remember the Lost television show?
And people would have like watch parties. And, everybody together at the same time watching the same shows is not really happening that much anymore. Yeah.
And you know the thing about like as a family now we talk about what we're watching all the time. But way back when Twin Peaks, right?
Oh, sure.
Okay. So Twin Peaks, was that before your guys' time? Did you watch it?
Kind of before my time, pretty much.
Okay.
I was just getting into it, but also it was a lot over my head at the time. I've rewatched it since.
And Katherine, I think you were already in college.
Yeah.
And I might have been as well because I remember they were having some big either finale or some sort of party.
I think it was the finale because I ended up going.
And it was at the Sportsman's Lodge.
Oh my God, yes, it was.
And Mark surprised me and took me on a date there. And guess who I ran into at it?
Oh my God, I don't even remember that. I remember that I went. I didn't remember that you were there. That's hysterical.
But this is also the era of Katherine and I. We did not get along. We were certainly not in each other's lives in a significant way.
Kind of out of each other's orbit a little bit.
Right. So I walk in and Katherine's like, you watch Twin Peaks? I'm like, you watch Twin Peaks?
Yeah, I was there with my roommate David. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was this whole thing when they would snap when a certain character would walk in. And like Katherine would like glare at me like, how do I know this? I'm like, fuck you. Just like now you can both watch and not be aware of it. That's the sneak watching, right? We've talked about sneak watching on other podcasts.
Yeah, we've used sneak watching as like a little hashtag. It was a term that we sort of invented, I think.
Well, I'm going to take full credit for it. No,
I think you're a genius.
I don't know if
you are a genius. Yeah, you absolutely invented it.
It's just the idea of Twin Peaks, and I was too young to watch that. I mean, that takes me all the way back to popping my head around the corner of the couch to watch Porky's.
Oh my!
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who was watching that?
That's
y'all.
Some sneak watching.
You all were watching those
Channel
things when we were
Z.
stealing cable way back in the days.
That's some
Channel
real
Z.
sneak watching.
And yeah, you did some super sneak watching, but that's because I wanted to see what was going on. What are you guys watching?
Oh my gosh,
This
that
is
reminds
getting
me
in trouble.
The
Go for it.
ultimate sneak watching
I think
in our
I know-
two-story house.
Yes.
There was a
Family house.
spot on the upper staircase, like hallway. There was
The
a
railing.
Yeah, underneath the railing on the hallway above the stairs. If you got this one little spot, you could see the TV in the living room, and absolutely, you would like lay on the floor and be like, "I can't hear it all what's happening, but I'm going to be up and watching this."
One time, Rosie and I, it was like, and the thing is, really, you can't go side by side.
Oh,
So
no.
we were like head to head.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to
Trying-
say stacked.
No, you couldn't.
She was laying on your back.
No. So we're head to head, like kind of nudging each other
no, I
back
can't
and
see. No,
forth.
I can't see.
Only one eye can see.
And you know, Dad had something on like PBS.
It was
like,
not
why were
worth-
you-
It was
yeah.
not worth it.
Who even
Why
knows?
just because it was more exciting than going to bed.
Oh, yeah.
So whatever
And
it was.
And the lights were all off, upstairs. But the TV show cast like a really bright light at one point, and you could feel the light on our face. And Dad must have sensed something was amiss in the universe. And he turns around, and he must have seen. It was like you'd put a flashlight on two raccoons out in the trash cans. We were like, "Hey!" And it's like we didn't even know which way to run because we were face head to head. And Dad's like, "Got him, Ed!" Like it was like, oh my gosh, we got so nailed. I'll never forget that feeling. Like we're just watching it. We're getting away with this. This is so great. And like the brightest freaking scene ever comes on.
Oh my God.
And you could just, like I said, and Dad just nailed us. So,
I mean, we did have a history of sneak watching only because we were so restricted in how much TV we were allowed to watch.
we're really
so,
overcompensating now.
Well, yeah. Oh my God, are we ever? But
That is Psych
We're
101.
making up for lost
Oh
TV
my
time.
God.
making up for lost TV time. Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, the no watching TV in the afternoon or weekday nights or whatever, we would try and cheat on that as much as possible. As soon as Mom was gone, that TV was on and trying to cover up that we'd been watching TV while she was out.
The overall rule was like we pretty much were not allowed to watch TV. Even during the summer, during the day, it was like she did not want that TV on.
Yeah, no.
So And then Dad would be much more unpredictable because if it was a show he was watching. Do you remember this, John? Because he obviously, well, some of you may not know this who are listening. Our father passed away only at the age of 58, which is shockingly now. He seems very young in retrospect. One of his favorite things to do was get you. It was bedtime for you. And Mom thought you had gone to bed, and he was in the downstairs room, and you two were tucked in. He was like holding you. So if you look down,
you're snuggled in under his arm, kind of.
Do you ever remember watching TV with him like that?
Not exactly. I mean, I definitely remember the story very well. I remember, the Masterpiece Theater intro.
God.
Where else would I remember it from?
Yeah.
But actual memories of the watching, not so much.
Well, most of it probably went over your head because for sure it was PBS, which he had on just like, that was the channel.
That was his go-to for sure.
Yeah. And so
didn't matter what it was. Yeah.
And if you were willing to sit with him and watch it, you could pretty much get away with it. I mean, I remember Rosie and I are still traumatized by I, Claudius.
Oh, I, Claudius and Brideshead Revisited were very
so
surprising.
Inappropriate.
Too young.
You all
Too
got
young.
the short end of the PBS stick. I got Benny Hill.
I know.
with
We
that,
did not.
Which was
Yeah.
excellent.
Benny Hill. Oh, because it's probably a BBC feed of some sort.
Yeah,
Yeah.
late night. Oh,
Which
here's
is
some
so
stuff from
inappropriate.
BBC.
Yeah.
Super inappropriate. It's fantastic. No sneak watching with that. Just, what are you doing, Bills? This is terrible. Look at that. That guy's got a cherry on his forehead. Amazing. Thought it was a boob. Thought it was a boob. So good.
And I'm going to watch it. That was the thing our parents would have. It was somewhat unpredictable what they would be lax about. Sound of Music, Wizard of Oz.
Yep. If they were on TV, we could watch
We
it.
could watch those. There was a movie called Brigadoon that
my
very
God.
late night. Rosie and I were,
No, it was you and me.
oh,
I weirdly, the one who doesn't remember anything. I do remember this. It was on, and Dad somehow
just started.
It had just started, and it was like 11 or midnight or something. And Dad was like cruising by, and otherwise he would have said like, "Girls, go to bed. What are you doing?" We were like young teenagers.
Oh,
right?
we had to be. If I was 11, maybe you were 13. It was like a 10 and 12. We were
All right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So he walks past, sees Brigadoon. He's like, I'm Brigadown. Let's
Well,
watch
he
it.
didn't stay. No, he said basically like, girls, instead of going to bed, oh, you should watch this. This is a great movie. This is a classic.
Right.
Gave us permission to stay up and watch it, right? So we're like, absolutely, we're going to stay up and watch this because we just get to stay up until it's over. That could be like very exciting.
Never.
2 a.m. I mean, we wouldn't normally do that. Yeah.
And I think it's Gene Kelly.
Oh, it is Gene Kelly. Yep. I don't remember who the woman is.
Sid Cherie, I think was her name.
Oh, Sid Cherie. She's a famous dancer of the era.
Yes.
Yeah.
The movie was 1954, based on a stage musical. The story of Brigadoon is this couple crosses, and they might even dance across the bridge, which then takes them across to this magical town called Brigadoon.
That's only there once every 100 years or something.
Right. I think then the big conflict was they decided if they're going to stay or not stay.
Right, of course.
Of course, it was a musical, and there's lots of dancing, and I think one of the famous songs, like Almost Being in Love. So, yeah, that was one of those moments where Dad's like, yeah, stay up.
And we got insanely giddy.
Of course, because
we didn't even like it. We were just like, what is this craziness? And we lost our minds, and we're like dancing around the living room like a couple of lunatics.
And there was something that happened, and I think for years we kind of baited Dad with. It was like something crossing over the bridge, or like, should we go back to Brigadoon? Should we not? Should we go? Should we do it? It was all this crazy lunacy that like that's what they let us to stay up for. It's like, what? Also, we were never Saturday morning cartoon kids. Were you boys?
Not early morning cartoons. Those weren't the ones I liked. It was more like the 9 a.m.
Well, that's
cartoons.
Morning still in the house, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, really? What would you watch?
Unknown.
Unknown.
Can't remember.
Yeah, because that was not, there was just too much chaos all the time with, I would think the first 4, and then even, as it got into number 5, 6, and 7, and 8, morning television was like unheard of.
Yeah, and I felt like, I don't know if this is accurate or not, but there was like a disapproval, like it was junk TV. You can't be watching morning cartoons. That's just nothing.
Probably, yeah. And, then I remember her making us watch Fantasia. And it was like, what?
Really?
Fantasia's one of those, as a kid, depending on your age, you're like, when does the movie start? What is this?
Yeah.
What is happening?
What is the story?
Yeah.
There isn't one, and
Those
half
are-
of these are real weird.
Hippos.
Hippos dancing
I don't know
good.
how we got there, but now we're here.
Sure.
Can we just have like the dude who's a mountain for like an hour and a half? please.
Yeah, so
Or The Wizard's Apprentice, isn't that one of them too? That's the good one.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh, speaking of like a Wizard's Apprentice, so you'd watch the Fables. I think we're on Channel 5. They were the Hans Christian Andersen Fables.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm.
And Danny Kaye played basically Hans Christian, and those were freaking awesome. I remember we were allowed to watch those.
Again, as you said, real inconsistent and hard to gauge what was appropriate in their eyes or not.
Was it the Family Film Festival? Is that where it like aired those weird movies? Because I think that I also watched, like, I had automatic approval. If it was the Three Stooges, watch it.
Right.
You're allowed. No problems with that whatsoever. What? Okay.
Little Rascals, totally
Rascals.
allowed.
Oh God, yeah, we watched a lot of Little Rascals. Like that was one of the morning or afternoon shows that would just be on. Or
That is
whatever.
why I did so many backyard play productions inspired by the Little Rascals. Let's put on a play.
Put on a show.
So we can all go buy ice cream tomorrow. Like, it was always
God.
for short-term gain. It's like, okay. You look back and like, their sets, what those kids pulled off were really impressive. And Darla.
Oh, Darla. She was a darling.
Spanky was my favorite. What an appropriate name.
Yeah. Well,
And he wasn't he the one that like wore his pants like so high waisted? He looked like a 70-year-old man.
yeah.
Alfalfa, like, this. Oh my gosh, those were great. I mean, they tried to do modern ones, and you're like, no. There's only that one original cast that is so awesome.
It was
And
amazing,
They
yeah.
were in black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Just so people know, we were watching Rascals and Three Stooges. They were reruns. Like they,
super
They were
duper
not
reruns,
new
yeah.
shows for us.
No, of course
Just so
not.
those of you who don't know our age, those were not new shows for us either.
But that's what I was saying. Like, at that time, those were what the reruns were, and then they were starting to get caught up, like, to Nick at Night, and other stations were like, oh, actually, that's some quality programming that's already written and is way cheap. Let's go ahead and load up with that. Like watching The Honeymooners. Why do I have most of The Honeymooners in my head?
That is weird.
Nick at
Yeah.
Night.
Nick at
Plus
Night.
also access to black and white TV when we were growing up. That was like, yeah, this stuff is great. I don't need the new stuff.
And it was already in black and white. So there you go. You got the best version
way
of it.
easier to watch it if it's in black and white.
Now, I feel like all of this stuck pretty much. Now, John, you'll have to tell us if it changed after Dad died and Mom was, working and out of the house a lot. Then the house TV kind of became a little more free for all because there were older siblings as well in the house, including myself at some point.
Yes, sort of. I mean, right, I watched things with you guys, so I guess that was, allowed. And then, yes, I watched a fair amount of TV with Ed and then by myself, so eventually. So, yes. I mean, I do remember there being rules at a certain point. I remember even, doing the... Not that Mom would do the hand on the top of the TV trick to test it, but that I would be like, well, let me figure out, am I going to be in trouble? So there was a much more restricted time, and then it eventually got much freer.
I do remember, like, between after school watching cartoons with John, maybe we weren't supposed to, on like a black and white TV that was the one that was available downstairs.
Right.
It freaking blew my mind when I found out that She-Ra's horse was rainbow colored. I'm like, what is going on? That was all sorts of shades of gray. This cartoon was way cooler in black and white.
Human denied the reality.
But to
Like
your,
Wizard of Oz.
to your point that you're making about after Dad died, yeah, I do have a change in the whole vibe of the house, because it wasn't like a rule that we talked about the change, but there wasn't like a group TV show that we would have all sat down and watched together. And then we did watch like 90210,
Well, okay, yeah.
like as a group.
Yeah, I think even Mom came in occasionally.
Exactly.
And
What? Oh my God, that's hysterical.
our friend
Yeah.
Brian Fitzgerald would come over and watch it. It would almost like before we would go out. And I mean, it's an adult soap opera. So Mom kind of got sucked in, and it was sort of a fun social thing to do with her kids. I mean, when we were growing up, the after school special was like our soap opera. We could not watch soap operas. There was one summer, for some reason, Mom and Dad were checked out a little bit, and we watched a lot of As the World Turns.
Oh, yes, I do remember now because I was very interested
Lily
in
and
the
Hol-
Lily and Holden
Holden
story. Oh, my God, yeah.
It might still be going on to this day. I don't even know if
It
the soap
could be.
opera exists
It
anymore.
could be.
But then you'd want to ride your bike home and pray to God Mom and Dad were not home for the 3:30 after school special or 4 o'clock when it was going to start, because someone was a drug addict, someone had become a hooker, someone was pregnant.
Very dramatic.
There's so much. That was like, if you missed that, because there was no recording it back then in any way that we were capable of. So you needed to watch it in real time.
need to catch it live.
Oh,
Catch it when
God.
it's happening, yeah.
The worst if you rode your bike home and then it's like, oh, Mom's car's in the driveway. My life is ruined. I'm gonna be so out tomorrow. But yeah, 90210. I definitely. Oh, and the big one was Melrose Place.
Oh, wow.
I
Wait,
remember-
did Mom watch any Melrose Place?
Mom was a little more in and out at that point, but I do remember there's this one moment where I think her name was Kimberly. We all think she's dead, or some drama. And then she takes off this wig and
Oh
she's
my
got this
God, I
massive
remember this,
scar.
yeah.
We all like hoot and hollered, like screamed, like we were dying. So I, growing up, like I said, we were not a big TV family.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of weird rules and regulations.
What we're talking about kind of is group watching, right?
Right.
I mean, back when we were kids, whenever we could be together watching TV,
Yeah, it was
we
like
would
a
be.
consent. We had to decide all together
Oh,
we're going to watch.
God,
If
that
we
was
ever actually got a chance to watch TV, it's like, what are we all going to agree upon watching? It was not really a democracy, because it was like, who's the oldest?
Yeah, James, our older brother, he would often push the Rockford Files, which,
Magnum PI.
Yeah.
If you were a girl like of the 90s, well, more like 80s and 90s and older brothers, and they were watching Magnum PI, you definitely wanted to go to Hawaii and had a crush on Tom Selleck. And James Gardner, like you said, Rockford Files. Oh my gosh.
Mhm. He was the coolest.
Oh my God, he had that machine that would just make up a business card with a faux like career on it in 2 seconds flat, and like was constantly. It was the era of like Tom Selleck was exceptionally good looking. I mean, so was Jim Gardner. How funny. His name was James, which he probably went by Jim, and he played Jim Rockford. It's like, wow, let's just not get creative
Just
here.
keep it simple. It's all Jim.
But it was like the rest of the cast usually was real looking. So it was not, you know. So that was actually nice to look at because it didn't give you like false expectations growing up as a child. So yeah, but oh my gosh.
I do want to introduce something that we used to do growing up that I don't know that is a widely popular thing. And I don't know how much it even came up with when I was watching with John. But something that we did when someone had like commandeered the TV and we're stuck watching baseball all day, and you're like, well, I don't want to go outside, but I don't want to watch baseball. Commercial game. That's something that even if we weren't watching something that we liked, we'd all end up playing the commercial game. Can you guess the product before they say it?
Before they say it or show it. I think you couldn't even.
If they showed it right away, that's a burn.
Yeah.
You lost that whole 30 seconds of the game.
Yeah, because no fast forwarding. There, you had to watch the full commercial break.
Yeah.
We got good at it too. You could just in the first frames of that it was on, whatever the commercial is, you were just like, and people would start yelling out.
This driven our parents crazy. I remember, when you think our memories, like, oh, Mom, of course, is seeing like Sound of Music or Wizard of Oz because it'd be on during the holidays. And I remember asking her something about the Wizard of Oz. She says, well, I've never seen it all the way through. I go, what are you talking about?
This was kind of recent, she said.
I go, we have had that play in our childhood home. I mean,
dozens of times.
24 times would possibly be an underestimation. And she's like, well, I was always in the kitchen cleaning, preparing the dinner, getting everything done. And I'm like, oh, that's a child's perspective. You think Mom's participating, but Mom is in there like, preparing the dinner and getting the
things ready. Yeah.
Legitimately, the actual story of Wizard of Oz. All of us are in there like running around like flying monkeys and just like just having the grandest old time. We got a hot air balloon. What's going on? We're headed down the Yellow Brick Road having such a great time. And Mom is literally like at home with her daughter who got a concussion and is lying in bed and might be dead and like waiting it out for 3 days. She's like, well, we found her by the side of the road. She had tried to wander off with the magician. And now she's been passed out for 3 days. Like her experience versus our experience.
Right. Her experience.
Ours is in Technicolor.
Yes.
She's like actually making dinner.
So instead of a daughter in a coma, she's like making a lasagna. Yeah. Like, oh, geez.
There's just a boring regular life that you'd be living while us are off in the Wizard of Oz / in the living room just dancing. And I mean, the action that happened in that living room, because it's still got that slate foot-high fireplace, landing. Is there only one person who's ever bashed their head in? Was it just Rosemary?
Just Rosemary. She cut her ear open, yeah.
That is like unreal how lucky that is.
Well, it did have a bumper around it for a long time. When my kids were little,
so
I put that on there.
Yeah, so
I was
ugly.
like, but I would bring Sarah over and she was like a ball of energy. And I'm like, she is literally going to fall and crack her head on this thing.
I remember thinking, like, can't you at least get a color that's close to the slate?
Apparently not. Apparently we just got whatever. And we stuck it on there with like double-sided tape. I don't even know how it was on there.
Most of it is stuck. I have had to reapply some of it. But,
Wait, it's not still on there, is it?
Yeah.
Why?
Because Virginia had kids.
Okay, time to
I know
take
it's time
it off.
to take it off now, but we've got like 50 years running without an accident in that living room, really.
I mean, that's a good run.
Oh my God. I don't think anybody's twirling in the living room anymore.
Sometimes
or
I
jumping
do.
around.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, the new evolution of what I would say is when we were siblings, that was our sort of family watching. We didn't really all, including mom and dad, sit down and watch stuff together. But now that I have a family, and you too, Liz, it's very common for us to have things that we watch together.
Right.
We do it less now. Sarah went through a phase, like the golden phase of watching television with me, which was so fun. And now she's kind of off of it. She's more, off in her room doing whatever. And she doesn't really like to consume a full television show. She's like, I want to watch this YouTuber commentary thing or a TikTok for an hour, different ones, whatever. But I really enjoyed that era. We started off with, I think, Modern Family, and then we watched a bunch of shows that were on USA and maybe Sci-Fi. We watched Warehouse 13, and we watched Eureka, and we watched, I don't know. So that was a good, fun era. So, I mean, I kind of am jealous that you have that with Ethan now, that you have movies you can watch together and TV shows that you watch, that you family watch.
He does watch. The YouTube is definitely this generation of kids. YouTube is basically something they consume for content. So
yeah, even if it's like watching someone play a game or whatever.
Well, that was John, you're at my house a lot. That was one of the things I would go, what is Ethan watching? And it's like he's watching someone else play a game.
Although then we found out it wasn't, because it was like, it's incomprehensible why you would even watch that.
Right.
For me, for anyone in the world at any moment. But so it was always like, man, why does he watch so much? I don't understand. Are these people that funny? What's the deal? And then it turned out he was trying to keep up with his peers. Because he's like, well, I don't have that game.
Right.
So I'm just trying to learn.
Oh, so he could be in on the conversation because he knows about it. Oh, that's kind of smart.
He would just know what they were talking about. And that, I think, might be the breaking point. I'm like, well, maybe it's time we actually get him a game. I'm sorry. This is getting this.
So he can participate. Don't be pressured, Liz.
We held out for probably a year or two after everybody else, because it just wasn't even on our radar. And he wasn't asking for it. He wasn't like on his Christmas list, and we were saying, no, not yet. That wasn't happening. So it was finally when he was like, I really would like a gaming system. And we had heard about this, and watching YouTubes to keep up with the Joneses. But yeah, we do watch quite a few shows together. The one that we watch, and there's so many seasons of it, is Flash.
Oh, sure.
I said, you'll be leaving for college before we're done with this, because we only just started it like about a year ago.
Oh, you got a lot of work to do.
And Mark is not into it. So it's only the times that we're together that we feel like we want to watch that. And, I will joke. I go, a new season just came out of new episodes. And this is a traditional network show where it first initially airs. So you're talking 20 plus episodes a season.
Oh yeah, a lot.
So we have well over 100 episodes we need to watch. I don't know how it's happening.
Well, that's just the Flash. There's 3 or 4 parallel series at some point. That I gave up at some point when I was tracking 4 different series that included the Flash and
Arrow and what else?
And the Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl, and I forget it.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Oh, there's definitely ones that come on the Flash. We have no idea what they're referencing.
Yeah.
We're like, meep, meep. So I think it's, was appropriate at what age. So I felt like that was fine. But, now he's watching the House of Dragons with us.
Which I am shocked.
Last episode I was like, ew, we're in the pleasure palace. Or
that was alarming for adults in the room, because we watch House of the Dragon. We, meaning Eric and I, watch with John. John comes over and hangs out on Sunday night, and it's one of our shows that we watch. And the 3 of us were like, oh my God, HBO,
Awkward.
calm down. This is a lot of nudity. And
I was okay.
yeah.
And getting to, maybe you tandem watch with someone. That's one of the shows Rosie, our sister, watches as well. But
Not with you, but sort of at the same time,
Right.
and it's a conversation.
So Housewives is one that we usually watch. There's 2 or 3 of the franchises, Housewives of Beverly Hills or Housewives of Utah. And on our walks, we'll catch up on it. I'm sure if people were walking beside us, next to us, around us, sometimes these conversations are like, these girls have very dramatic lives, but we're talking about housewives like we know them. It's like, could you believe she did that? Do you think she's going to go to jail? I mean, do you think her husband's going to divorce her? I would never talk to her again. I mean, people were like, what the hell? So House of Dragons is another one. And her opinion was there is not enough sexuality or nudity this season so far.
Wow, that's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, I don't know who is surprised. We already went through this once with Game of Thrones, so we knew this was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
this is what they do. I'm surprised, to Rosie's point, that they held off this long.
And she would
before
like
so much.
More.
Well, I don't know about that, but sure. I see what she's saying.
She'll listen to our podcast and take our recommendations. So she just watched Uncoupled.
Oh, good. Okay.
That Netflix show with Neil Patrick Harris, and then called me about it. And that will happen sometimes. Like, so you watched it, right? I'm like, yes, I talked about it. And then we'll have to jar my memory or hers about certain things. This just recently happened with the House of Dragons. We're on the walk and we're talking about things. And I am saying, she's like, oh, I don't remember that. I go, Rosie, wait. Have you not watched the episode? And I, say something that's kind of a spoiler alert. And she's like, no. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're an episode behind. I just blew like 3. I'm ruining certain things for you.
Well, that's what happens. You can get out of sync because if you're kind of watching it together, but not physically together, you could be out of sync a little bit.
Well, how I get out of sync in the household a lot is, we're very behind on Yellowstone. And so I only watch it with Mark.
So that's like partner watching.
Partner
watching. I have shows that I just watch with Eric that you have to wait forever to have time to do. A solo watch is great because you can do it whenever, but then you have to find somebody to talk to about it because you don't know who else is watching it. But a partner watch, you often wait.
And I'm actually going to call him out because there's something called snooze watching.
Snooze watching.
Because here's the deal.
Oh, no.
We'll be watching a show, and I really almost never fall asleep watching TV. I have to be exhausted. It's very rare. Inevitably, Mark falls asleep for a chunk of a show, 15, 20 minutes, and he'll act like he didn't. So it's like, I can sense it, right? And I look over, he's like, no, I was sleeping. No, I'm fine. I said, God, I'm just taking a nap, just taking a little nap. But I'm like, or something dramatic will happen. I'll be like, oh my gosh. And
then he'll wake up.
What? I'm like, were you asleep? He goes, I just closed my eyes for a minute.
Yeah, Eric says, I was just looking at the inside of my eyes. What are you doing? He doesn't actually fall asleep mostly, but he will kind of drift off. Depends on what it is.
Oh.
And you're like, oh no, why are we even watching this?
Mark will be out cold.
Oh, God.
And then I know he's fallen asleep for a chunk of it. He goes, don't erase this. Don't delete it.
Oh, no.
Because he then has to go back and watch what the hell happened. So like he snoozed it and it's like, now it's like go back and 15 minutes in or a middle part. Or my favorite is when he doesn't admit it and the next week God, I can't believe that, or that's why that happened, or of course, because that happened, this is going to happen. And you can tell he's like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm like, did you fall asleep last week? And he's like,
no.
Yeah. So that
it sounds like, and you and I don't actually watch a lot of stuff together, but I'm very chatty. Are you very chatty with Mark? Like,
not with Mark. With Ethan, yes. Ethan and I are cut from the same cloth. It's a nightmare. Mark will pause it sometimes and say, all right, get it all out.
Oh, no.
What do you guys have to say? What is it? So if just Ethan and I are together, I used to be worse at the movie theater, but I've gotten much better. And
but you can't do it at the movie theater. At home is a
to.
different thing. Oh, gosh, Liz, come on.
I have, as I've gotten older, my jumping scare, like you can scare me. Forget it.
Has gotten bad, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Like, the Stranger Things, the most recent season, we all watched together as a family. And there were quite a few times Mark would fall asleep and me screaming at something would wake him up and he would have a heart attack. And then, what happened? And then Ethan and I try to explain it. Then Mark would have to pause it. We have to tell him. It was like, come on, dude. He's not falling asleep. He goes, oh, that was a good episode. About anything, it's like, oh, that was a good episode.
Oh, okay, good.
Because he basically didn't fall asleep during it. So, but he has his shows that I don't watch with him. Like the Rick and Morty newest season's coming out. I don't mind if that's in the house. I just won't sit down and necessarily watch certain.
But that's one of their shows.
They consume a lot more animation than I do, or as a family we do. But
right. I was just going to say about Eric, he and I, we do talk a lot. We're big on like predictions. We're like, oh, that's going to be this. Oh, that's because this is going to, and blah, blah, blah. And it's very fun to watch with him because he doesn't mind it. He participates. We end up being very amused by each other getting things right and being like, oh, good job. You totally called that out. I'm like, well, it's a little bit obvious because, this, that, or the other thing. It's fun.
Well, and Ethan, and he will watch things, and this is something I think is his generation. They will watch something to almost have material to make fun of it. Like almost like watching it through a very cynical eye. So he had me watch this thing called The Dragon Prince on Netflix. And it was animation and it had 3 seasons and we got through it. And he'd always be like, well, do you want to watch it? Like, he'd be like, well, I want to watch it. I'm like, I mean, it was a little junior for him, but someone had watched it and they're making references or making fun of it. And he kind of wanted to know about it. And it was actually pretty enjoyable. But, I'm sitting there going, we'd be making fun of it or being very critical of it while we're watching it, which would drive Mark insane.
Yeah.
Because kids will watch, like our nieces will watch something again and again and again.
Of course.
We had very few things that Ethan wanted to watch over and over and over again. One of them was Pawn You.
Oh.
It was like a film, 2008. It's like a little fish that turns into a girl. Some of the voices are Matt Damon, Cate Blanchett, Tina Fey, Liam Neeson. Like, it is insane, and it's gorgeously animated, like in the style of
Studio Ghibli. It's a Hayao Miyazaki.
Right, yeah. Thank you, John. Wow, really pulled it out there. It is beautiful. It's one of my favorites. You can watch on HBO Max. Ponyo, little fishy in the sea. And that's one of those things that he could just totally watch. And Toy Story, but you hear today it's like Frozen 500 times or something. Like, I would lose my mind.
It would be too hard for me. It just reminds me, because you were just saying that Ethan will watch stuff to have material,
Right.
almost. Sarah will watch a lot of stuff independently. Like, she does a lot of solo watching. She watches movies like on her phone or whatever. And occasionally she'll be like, Mom, I really want you to watch this. I want to watch this with you. And recently she had me watch all 3 of the Disney Descendants movies from, I don't know, like however many years ago. And mainly she wanted me to watch it with her because she wanted my reaction to some of the ridiculous things and outlandish. And she was just like so amused that she would just sit there like watch me watching it. I was like, that's kind of like a weird YouTube thing. Watching my mom watch a ridiculous old Disney movie and make comments. Oh my God.
Well, I mean, because we were denied TV so much as a kid, and I mean, we have rules and regulations in our house. I mean, it's not necessarily always during dinner time, or at least you got to ask. And, if I just come in, sometimes I'm like, did you ask to watch TV? And we don't have TVs in our bedroom. Our parents didn't have it.
No. We have one now, Eric and I, but I don't really like it. He can like fall asleep with the TV on. I can't. Because we talked about on What We're Watching about background watching, where you're not really paying attention, but you have something on. I can't do that. If something is on, I will absolutely get sucked in. Even if it's
like
something,
a Harry Potter?
It doesn't
or
even matter.
I mean, if it's new, I get it. But it's like when I'm watching a Harry Potter or...
Even something old, I can't ignore. Yeah, I'm not really good at it. Background watching is not capable for me.
Our older brother, James, who has 5 kids, they do not have freedom when it comes to the TV, or they didn't when they were kids. And when they would either come to our house or be at Grandmary's, it was like zombies. Like,
it was TV time. Yeah.
You couldn't get their attention or distract them. And you're like, hello, dinner's ready. They were just like, the bright tube color flashing in front of me.
Oh, I don't know if that's totally fair. I mean, Ethan can be very like that.
Okay, I'm going to rat you out then. Okay, so there's a famous story now, maybe that I just know. I
don't think that's how famous works.
Yeah, I don't know if
sure.
I'm pretty sure I've shared this as family lore to some family members. This is pre-cell phones, so I probably had a pager. I was at the grocery store and I needed to find out if we needed something. And I went to a payphone and I called the house, and John Bond, little Johnny, picked up, and he was definitely watching TV in the downstairs room because it had a distinct sort of noise and all that. So he picks up the phone. I'm like, hi, could you go get, I wasn't going to ask him to go check if we like needed milk. It was like, go get Rosemary and I'm going to ask her to do it. He's like, okay. And you hear like, a noise. He's put the phone down on the table and you can hear the TV show. And so I'm sitting there.
Oh, no.
And then I start to hear laughter.
Oh, no.
And then I hear like he's laughing at what he's watching. And I go, so then I'm like, wait, he put the phone down and immediately got distracted by the TV show.
Well, now you can't call back either because it's going to be busy.
So I'm like, if I hang up, it's just off the hook at the house now. I'm ready to kill him. So I start screaming. People are probably like, what? John. He's like, I'm like, I'm going to kill this kid. And I think eventually I'm screaming bloody murder. And eventually, hello? I'm like,
Somebody walked by and heard it. Oh,
he picked it back up again and said, like, hello, like he never remembered that I'm like, John! Yes, I go Rosemary right now. He's like, okay, come on. Just,
So yeah, my point was that all kids do it, and you're right.
Yes.
I was once a kid. That's a good point.
Yes, valid. I mean, yeah, but that was old school. It was like, oh my gosh, the phone will be off the hook for the next 2 hours if you.
God.
Oh my god!
Oh my
And
God.
then no other way to communicate. Now, all the time we have basically phones. That are TVs, so you can be distracted by that. It's like insane. Speaking of that, I'll sit down next to Ethan and watch stuff just on our phone together.
Yeah. When Sarah wants to play me a bunch of TikToks, it's cute. We snuggle up on the couch and she's got a whole list of saved TikToks she wants to show me. Or she'll commandeer the TV and play a long YouTube video about who knows what. I mean, I end up, she's very good at guessing what I would be interested in watching. A lot of times she'll pre-pitch it. She'll be like, well, there's this YouTube person, and she'll say the person, and these people come up quite frequently, and she'll be like, and she did a video about this, and she said this and this and this. I'd like you to watch it. I'm like, okay, how long is it? 2 hours long.
Oh.
You're like, oh my God. Okay. All right. When are we going to do that? That is long. Some are shorter, but sometimes it's like a real commitment.
Well, yeah, when you're blocking out time to watch something together and you want to finish it, whatever movie or, that's why, like Yellowstone right now, I mean, most of it's not appropriate for Ethan to walk in on. It's a very adult subject. But, he now stays up so late. It's like, get out.
Yeah, when are you going to watch it if they don't go away?
Oh, Rosie got so mad at me the other day. She came over to watch A Real Housewives with me. And it was during the summer, so I think it was a weeknight. And Ethan and some of his friends from the neighborhood were over, and they had commandeered the den, which is the largest screen TV. And that's where his gaming system is. So
I think you talked about this as part of when you were moving him, that was one of the things that happened that reminded you, like, maybe he needs a different space so that you can have the living room back.
Yeah, watching in the kitchen is not so good, huh?
Well, no, because that's why. So Rosie comes over. It's like, let's have a glass of wine. Do you have any cheese to offer me? And she thinks we're going to go get in the den, have the big screen TV to watch.
And lounge and be comfy.
And I am like, we have, it's not a teeny screen in the kitchen, but it's by no means
relative
big.
to the, yeah.
And I'm like, come on, let's get on the couch. And she's like, what is this horse shit? Pick that guy out. And it was like, that is the problem, because the gaming system, I mean, Ethan's going to have to do that. It's eventually going to have to move into like where he's got his school desk and, a monitor. Because I'm like, yeah, Dad and I are watching Yellowstone in the kitchen on.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. There are definite times that we're just like, also because we're just so happy to have him out of our hair. Because if we're in the den, he's like in and out of there the whole damn time for some reason. But if we just let him have the den, we can have that 45 minutes to watch an episode.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
Yeah, I mean,
Little Lord Fauntleroy. Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
if we said, get out, we're kicking you out, he would do it. It's like, we're just not even doing it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're letting him be in there. It's changing and evolving. So we have partner watching, we have family watching, we have solo watching,
Snooze watching, tandem watching,
any
sneak watching. As a child, that was definitely our vibe.
We haven't named them, but there are two others got discussed, perhaps. Phone watching and either talk or chat watching.
Oh. What? Phone watching and talk or chat watching. Okay. I just wanted to circle back really quick to different combinations of people that you watch with. Because obviously you and I watch with our husbands or with our kids. But then also in our house, John comes over very specifically on Sunday nights. And there's multiple shows that are John, Eric, and I. Then there are shows that are just Eric and John. Like they are watching. What are you guys watching?
The zombies.
They watch the zombies and
like Walking Dead, all those.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, just the Walking Dead, universal. And not even all of it, but yes.
Yeah. And then another combination, which I find particularly amusing, is John and or Eddie and Mom. I hadn't realized that
What are you guys watching together?
Well, they also watch stuff together too, right? So a John-Eddie combination, but then an Eddie Mom and a John Mom. Not the three of you, right? Not an all three.
Yeah, all three of us on a holiday. We'll get a weird holiday movie going.
Yeah, it's fairly rare. It's, once or twice a year, whether it's holiday or not. And it's usually just like a movie. It's like, oh, you want to be with us? Okay. So what are we going to watch together? And then finding a movie, which is usually not easy and often not successful.
Oh, jeez.
And then myself and Mom, we're currently not finishing Lost in Space. Savor watching that because that series
savor
is
watching,
wrapped.
Sure.
Oh, wait, the new one on Netflix.
The new Netflix series.
Yeah, we
We're
watched
just
that as well.
Partway through season 3. So we've watched the first 2 seasons together. And then when we were watching Afterlife on Netflix, I hadn't gotten back around to it because it got kind of sad. And I didn't want to watch it at that time. And then Mom watched the entire rest of it without me.
Oh, you're not supposed to do that.
Oh, we tried that leap watching where you
Yeah.
just like leap over the person like, bye.
You're like, see ya.
Runaway watching.
Unmerged.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and pre-COVID, I would have co-work watching because there were a couple people, I would go into particular offices. Succession, the first time I heard about that, and Schitt's Creek. And then, gosh, there was another one that a coworker was like, you're not watching, or it was House of Cards.
And like dragged you into their office and you watched some of it?
No, it would just
Or
be
just
like
had you watch it at the
You
same- yeah.
had to start watching it because the talk around the quote unquote water cooler was so focused on it that you
For
were-
work chat.
Yeah, you were kind of really left out of the loop, or you could not give a damn. But it was like, well, all right. I think because I
You should
usually
have brought the Dragon Prince to that.
well, no,
Make
because
them catch up.
I don't really now this is my office. Like I don't really go to an office where I'm sitting around talking to people so much anymore. Like a lot of people don't, now during the COVID years. But previously, yes, you'd feel like, all right, the Succession does sound good. And I would have usually I had a work partner that I'd be traveling with or working on projects with. So you felt like, well, I want a story generator. So, all right, I'll watch the show. That's the water cooler talk for the most part is El Gano.
Yeah, well, I do want to ask, what is Mom like to watch TV with? Is she chatty? What's her vibe?
No, mostly. I mean, if we watch something that's got like a interesting accent where you're not catching everything that they say, maybe they're talking too fast, or he's Scottish, did not get everything that he was saying. There'll be like a question or two, but it's not like Liz and Ethan chatty.
Like the constant chatter of me and Eric watching TV.
Well,
but yeah, I get it.
Growing up, my sister-in-law Dee could not handle it. There are people that, would you shut
they hate
up?
it, yeah.
Kirk, our brother-in-law, definitely, if Rosie and I are together, we will talk, and it drives him insane. That was, when we went away to Big Bear, I brought this up. We were trying to watch Downton Abbey's movie. I felt like holiday and Christmassy, but John, it's not really, right? Yeah, but it just still felt a little holiday-ish. So we were trying to watch it, and Rosie and I were just doing running commentary, and he literally was going to lose his mind. He stopped and said, get it up, stop. Do you have anything else to say? Do you have anything else to say? I'm like, well, not at this moment, but I'm sure I will as soon as he gets. Oh, he was.
You do have to dial it back depending on who you're watching.
Oh,
with.
he could not. He's. I'm going to watch this without you, girls. I'm going to watch without you.
I mean, that is the hard part for me of watching something by myself. There's no one to make these comments to. I'm like, oh, God, what? That was ridiculous. Or, oh, this is totally going to happen. I can't
Right.
say anything to anybody.
Well, that's why I love when Leslie Jones, the comic, will watch. It was Game of Thrones, and now it's House of Dragon, and will comment. And she became very well known to maybe
Like
people,
live stream while she's watching.
Yeah, maybe people did not or were not aware of her. She did it for the Olympics, like a few,
yeah.
I
And
think
she
it was
was
like
super
it was a summer or
excited.
winter
Yeah.
Olympics a few ago, and now they hire her to do it basically.
Good for her.
On her social, but she'll do really funny commentaries while watching the show.
Love it.
And one of the best ones ever was when Jon Snow on Game of Thrones decides like he's going to battle the entire White Walker army and it's like heading out there. He's like, John, what are you doing, John? John, not a good idea, John, pull back, John, what are you doing, John? And then when the dragon comes out, she's like, ah! Like it was
Oh, God.
It was so great because as a viewer, you're thinking the same thing. Like, how do you think this is not going to go well? So yeah,
I like the social component of watching stuff with other people.
yeah,
That's
you just got to
more
get
fun.
with our group that we know that we're all going to talk over each other. And when you watch with kids, they're like dancing and moving around and having to take pee breaks and this, that, and having
And as long as
snacks.
you can rewind it, if you missed a critical line or whatever, you just pause it, rewind
That's why I love
it.
subtitles now.
Oh, that's
I'm learning a lot of lyrics to songs that I thought I knew too.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, that's what they were saying, and Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean, I just think, growing up has had impact on. Hi, we have a podcast called, not this one, this is Family DynamiKs, but because of that dynamic growing up, we now, I think, overcompensate and have a podcast called What We're Watching, where we watch television, and we all are involved in the business and love television, love, the type of entertainment. You think it's like that course correction where like you kept sugar from kids for years and now they're like addicted to it.
And also, I think What We're Watching, our podcast, evolved out of us wanting to talk about everything that we are watching.
Right.
And that idea of sharing both the experience of watching and the comments and the ideas, and like, it made it more fun. I think that was a funny way of dealing with that. We, whenever we got together, spent the first,
legitimizing our addiction.
45 minutes talking about what we were actually watching.
Exactly.
I would agree that like our family birthday dinners as of late have been a lot less entertaining because we're not talking about what we're watching, because we have a podcast. We do it weekly. We already have all that conversation out of us by the time there's a birthday once a month.
It's nice, though, to catch up with other family members.
Exactly.
What are they watching? Oh, my God.
Well, that's the varying taste of our family. That's recently Virginia. I was like, your recommendations did not go over well on the trip that I was away. Like, but Virginia loves. And John, don't you watch like the Lifetime or Hallmark holiday movies?
Yes, of course.
What? I'm always flabbergasted by that.
Oh, wait. Do you hate romantic comedies and holidays? So who are you?
Not as formulaic as that. But I'm going to really rat John and I out right now. And it's my influence. So
I normally would let this go, but I think if I know where this is going, I think we should definitely skip it.
no, I'm going to embarrass ourselves. And this is rooted in all the way back to our childhood, and I brought it up, As the World Turns, when for some reason Mom was busy and we were watching a soap opera.
Which actually, of course, we should have been watching General Hospital. And we did later when Dad was on it.
Yeah, Dad wasn't on it then. Our father was almost on it for,
It wasn't quite 10 years, like 7.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, it was under a decade, but it was quite significant. And if he had still been alive, he probably would have been on it another 10 or 20 years, because that is one of those soap operas that they let you age. Like, Edward Quartermain literally wheeled him in on a wheelchair. I mean, it was like, oh boy, okay.
Well, I mean, it was also on here on the West Coast in a very convenient time slot. It was on in the afternoon, so you could catch it after school. So that was cool.
And also it was the era of VHS, and then eventually...
Yeah, then you could watch
the
whatever
TiVo,
anytime.
and you could record it. So the soap opera has been sort of in our world. Now, I had started to watch this one called Bold and the Beautiful.
Oh, sure.
Stopped for years. I mean, just I'm not watching TV during the day or whatever. And then I was flipping channels and I was like, oh, there's Ridge,
Oh, God. I mean, I watched it too for a while.
Ridge Forrester.
I'm not currently, but I can't wait.
He was there from day one, and now there's a new actor playing it. But,
oh, my God, that's such a soap opera thing.
And he,
replaced.
always going back and forth between Logan and Taylor and all the dramas. And there was even one Caroline before that. So I hadn't watched for years. And the last thing I knew, Taylor died. I mean, died, and he sobbed over in the hospital bed. You saw the flat line. She was dead. Now there's a rainy night happening, and Brooke, his now current love, but they're having problems, is at the house, and there's a very dramatic rainstorm and lightning, and the power is going out, but she hears something at the front door, and she opens it, and there is Taylor standing there, back from the dead.
Is it the same actress?
Yes.
Oh, my
And
God.
I am just flipping channels, and even I'm like, what the hell?
Wait, when was this?
Oh, this is like 15 years ago.
Oh, okay. But wait, so what's happening now? That sucked you back in.
Yes. And it's only a half hour long. And if I don't like the storyline or the actor or actress or something going on,
Whatever they're focusing on.
I can rip through an episode sometimes in 8 minutes. Like, because also the famous structure of a soap opera, usually cliffhangers start on a Thursday, really leave you with your nails dug in on a Friday, and maybe Monday's a big reveal. Tuesday through Thursday sometimes are like filler crap. So
Yeah,
you're like,
you're saying- yeah.
They're always like, what? Are you my mother? Did
Hold
you give
on.
birth to me?
I have to go over to this other place to tell that person next episode. I'm there now. Now I can tell you.
Yeah.
The same thing
We already
from the
know
last
this,
episode.
yeah.
Woohoo. So ripping through them very quickly. So when John and I started to work together years ago, at first I hid this. Like, it was so embarrassing. And
That was your guilt watching.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I just started to go, oh, whatever, John. And I told him the same thing. I go, John, I ripped through this. You don't have to pay attention. It's usually the half hour episode I get through in 10 minutes. Now we're both sucked in.
Oh, jeez.
I
Oh,
suppose
really?
that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough because background watching doesn't work for me. And it's also like sometimes you're not watching it, so it's like, oh, great, now I have to call your attention to something that's happening so that you realize what's going on. And then frequently, it's just, there's a story in front of me. I have to understand it.
Well, that's
Wait a minute.
how I am too.
Have they been married before? Do they have kids? Wait, but who was he married to before? Oh, okay.
If someone eavesdropped on one of these conversations, they would die. I tried to explain this character Brooke's marriage history. John
wow.
was like,
Yeah. Mhm.
wait, she was married first to Ridge, then the dad, then the brother, then back to Ridge, then another guy. Like,
Oh my God.
like John's head exploded. I'm like, that's why she has no moral compass. And how dare she? Her lack of integrity. I mean, I go this, and Mark walks in and he's like, I'm out. Like, he refuses. So now I've shame watched him into watching Bold and the Beautiful on CBS with us. CBS shout out. Thank you. I think it's the Bell family. Like that.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
And they did Young and the Restless before that, right?
That's unimportant.
Oh, okay.
But yes, it also, I frequently have to look up things.
Because he doesn't believe me.
No, it's not that I don't believe you, but it's like, well, wait, let me just clarify that again. Because it's like, well, I've had to look up who was Brooke married to multiple times.
Oh
Because
my
I'm not going to
God.
ask each time.
And whose child is this actually blood? Like, it is insane. And then we'll just start laughing or we'll get irritated. And, they just literally did a very similar storyline to Taylor where someone was dead. Dead.
Oh my God.
Eaten by a bear.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Well,
What?
that one we knew wasn't real.
Well,
now part bear coming back.
Well,
as
which
a
dead
bear
person
human.
are we talking about then?
We're talking about when he got shot recently.
Well, yes, he was dead. That's true.
But
though
was
his
he?
mother, his adopted mother, did not want to plan the memorial because it turns out he wasn't dead.
In a hospital room with equipment, she somehow had resurrected him and brought him back to life.
Well, no, he just never died, and she is a doctor, so
Oh, right. They weren't really going to give him good medical care at the hospital, so a hospital room made more
They
sense.
didn't believe in him.
I mean, this is the absurdity. We should be so embarrassed. Strike all this from the
I know, but I
podcast.
love that everybody in the family has different combinations that they watch stuff with different people. And I mean, who would have guessed that the two of you are completely sucked into a soap opera?
And I will tell you, I will always have a soft affinity to soap operas. And I will always say, as an actor, it's like the greatest freaking gig ever because it's basically
Hard work, too.
It's like
Yeah.
a Monday. I'm not saying it's not hard
No,
work at all.
yeah. Mhm.
I'm just saying, but still, it's basically one of the most steady gigs in Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't necessarily really have to travel typically. It's all basically done sound stages unless you do location.
They were just in Monaco for days.
Yeah, that's true. And they do have their house up in Arrowhead.
Well, I haven't seen
And the
that.
beach house where you hear waves crashing.
Yeah, the beach and the cabin. Well, the cabin is on the property, so it's confusing. But those are not real.
Oh God! I mean, you really have to just. And I will go on social media sometimes because, if we're busy, we don't watch it. And at a certain point, your saved on your TV will just kick it out on DirecTV. And thank you, CBS. You can go back and watch about 5. You don't have to join the app or Paramount Plus or whatever. But still, we'll be really behind. So we're like, we don't know. We're just going to conjecture what happened, whatever.
just jump right back in.
Yeah, just jump right back in.
merge watching.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we're just like, well, we'll figure out what happened. Or, oh, she's back. I mean, it is so ridiculous. And I, very nicely, I'll see I've got 7 or 8 in the queue. For years now, I will not watch them without John.
Aw.
Yes, now she's saving them for me.
Because I feel bad because I always have to explain it. And they're like, wait, what? What happened with Donna and her honey bear?
Liz, there's an easy answer for this. Just do TikTok reaction videos and then send them to John. You watch it and go, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. And then when you're done recording all your reactions, just send John your reactions and then he'll know.
No, I need the actual story.
And I will. The thing that he'll go, wait, did you watch this one? It's because I've watched the clip online on Instagram or Twitter, and then I feel like I've watched the whole episode.
Yeah, between your
That's cheating a little bit.
ripping through it, background watching, and social, it's like, are you aware of what's happening in this
Not
episode?
always. Not always. But, like I said, it's one of those things that, that's a combination of shame watching, group watching, like go down our list. Like we'll snooze it sometimes, we'll miss it. Like that's probably the most disorganized show that I watch. Like it makes no sense.
Well, you're doing better than John and I on Better Call Saul. We are
doing perfect. How dare you?
We are on the slowest. Well, just because if John comes over, we prioritize what we're watching with Eric. And then we have separate shows that just John and I are watching. So Eric will go to bed because he usually is like tired earlier than us. And he's like, okay, good night, guys. And then we're like, okay, now it's a John Katherine show time. But Better Call Saul, oof, we're taking forever.
I mean, look, the appropriate thing is to be at least 2 years behind and an episode every 3 months.
That's my Yellowstone currently.
It is currently sitting on my DVR. So when we do watch it, we're seeing the oldest ads possible. You're like, what is this? This is so old. That's what really reminds you how old it is.
And I
the
also,
ads.
because so now you've influenced. Well, you've always enjoyed Better Call Saul.
Not exactly. I mean, because I didn't watch Breaking Bad. And so it was just when Better Call Saul came out, they were very excited because Katherine and Eric had watched Breaking Bad. And so I got, grouped in. And then it was like, okay, I guess we're...
And somehow Eric is not watching it. I don't know how that happened.
Eric has, fallen off a lot of things. His interest level has waned.
He's very quick to be like, nah, I'm not into this anymore. Like, even after one episode, he's like, not for me. Where I will often get sucked in and be like, I don't love it, but I'm still going to watch every episode.
See, I feel like I've watched every episode, but then there's always new episodes of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives.
Oh, you do love that. Is that a solo watch, or is that you watch that with somebody?
I have infected John with it.
Well, it's you utilize it somewhat as a background, but it's one of those things. I mean, yes, background doesn't work, so it's like, well, which restaurant is this? Where is Guy?
Where
what
are they?
Are they making?
Oh yeah,
I need to know.
What are the ingredients?
I can watch that at night.
I need that show combined with like DoorDash so that as you're watching, you're like, actually,
sure,
order that right now. Send that to me in an hour and a half.
He's usually like 5 states away. So.
Yeah, he's very rarely in LA, exactly. And Mark and Ethan will say, how do you watch this at night and not get hungry? And I don't typically. But originally John's like, oh, this show's is crazy. And now he's like, no, that's one of my go-tos. Was that another great road trip or what? Join me on the next episode of Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. And it's always like, oh my gosh. Like, I always think now, whenever I go out of town, I do, and I've done this quite a few times, looked up if he's been in that town and
smart.
where he's gone. And I've wanted to I'm going to go there. So I've probably hit up about half a dozen places that he's gone to.
Oh, that's cool.
And now, because of COVID, you watch and you think, oh, I just hope they're still in business.
Oh,
you know? And he, one of the things that's been pulled back curtain-wise on him is he's very philanthropic. He's really a cool dude. He's really tried to help out the industry overall through the pandemic. And I love Guy Fieri. And I feel like I know him well enough that I know when he actually really loves a dish and when he's like, yeah, right on. This is really good. Good for you. Because it's never negative. Obviously, they do pre-production, and it's never negative. So so that John and I've infected watched him.
Yeah, you have a couple of shows with John that you've suckered him in.
Just watched, and he's like, like I said, we can also have like in the background any Star Wars, Harry Potter, Marvel, all those I could just have on, and because I've seen them or he's seen them. But there was one recently I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen this one. I don't remember any of this. John's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I can't remember which one that was, but it was pretty astounding. I was like, wait, no, that's not what's happening. Have you not seen this? I don't get it.
I saw with Captain America. I'm like, maybe I haven't seen them all. There's too many of them. Too many.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Well, so we've got family watching, partner watching, weight watching.
Watching?
Well, like you're waiting, not Weight Watchers. Weight watching like you're waiting to watch it with somebody.
Right.
Sneak watching, that's a big one. Background watching, shame watching, snooze watching. Oh my gosh.
Solo watching,
that's my big one.
And I think I got a new one, infected watching. I just infected you with the show, and now, better way to put it, contagious watching.
Oh, contagious watching. I like that. Well, on that note, thank you for listening to this episode of Family DynamiKs, where we really got into our weird family watching things.
We watch a lot of stuff.
We do.
It's actually our parents' fault for just not letting us watch TV
I
as
know.
kids.
I mean, holding us off from watching Psycho because it was rated R is like the worst part of my growing up. Have yet to really like lock that in because I'm gonna have to see it in the theater.
I will say the one time I really remember Dad just Jaws had come on, and they had done a version that was going to be on like
Some network channel.
so they had made edits to it. But the iconic music comes on, and Mom's in the other room, and we're sitting and watching it with Dad. Mom like lost her shit.
Oh, really?
Oh, Francis, I want the kids to be able to go to the beach and not be fearful. No, this is totally inappropriate. He's like, but Mary, it's on normal television. No, absolutely not. No, this is not appropriate. And it was like, ooh, he got in trouble.
Ooh, busted.
So then, of course, when I
Dad.
watched it, I was like, okay. I don't know. It was, I didn't watch it until I was like 22 years old or something.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Family Dynamics. Please follow us on all of our social media at Family Dynamics with a K. And we have a Patreon. You can join us there. Become a patron. We really appreciate that. And thank you for listening to
What we...
It was almost a what we were watching, but thank you for listening to Family Dynamics.